My childhood friend, the alien woman, came to my house years later, and she had become a queen. It was a quiet evening when the knock came at my door. The sun had just begun to set, painting the sky with brilliant colors of gold and violet, as I leaned back into my old couch, worn and comfortable after years of use. There was no reason to expect anyone, and for a moment I considered ignoring it. But something stirred in me, a strange feeling I could not explain. I rose and crossed the room, each step slow, as if sensing that my life was about to change. When I opened the door, I could only stare. There, standing before me, was someone I had not seen since childhood. Lyra. She stood tall and graceful, wrapped in flowing fabrics that shimmered like liquid stars under fading light. Her hair, once wild and tangled, now flowed smoothly down her back like a river of spun gold. Her eyes, though those had not changed. Still brilliant green, still full of fire and life. Still Lyra. I opened my mouth to speak, but no words came. She smiled, and it was the same smile I had known all those years ago, mischievous and kind. "Hello, Alex," she said, her voice richer, now carrying a depth that had not been there before. "You look different," I managed to say, finally, my voice rough and uncertain. She laughed, a sound like music, and the years seemed to fall away between us. "So do you," she said, stepping inside, without waiting for an invitation. I closed the door behind her, heart pounding. For a moment, we simply stood there looking at each other. I could hardly believe it. The girl who had fallen from the stars into my life, who had hidden in my backyard, who had become my best friend. She was here, and she was breathtaking. We sat down on the couch side by side, not touching, but close enough that I could feel the warmth of her presence. "How are you even here?" I asked finally. "Last I saw you, they took you away." Lyra nodded, her face turning serious. "They did," she said softly. "My people came for me. They took me back to my world, to my destiny." I listened as she spoke. Of kingdoms stretching across galaxies, of ancient families and bloodlines. Of a queen who had ruled for centuries, and of a throne that had needed an heir. Of her own unexpected rise when the old queen had fallen, leaving a void no one else could fill. I listened in silence, absorbing every word. "You are a queen now," I said, finally trying to wrap my mind around it. She smiled, but there was sadness in it. "A queen, yes, but still your friend. Always your friend." I reached out and took her hand, and she let me. Her skin was warm, her fingers strong. For a long time we sat like that, hands joined in the fading light. "Why did you come back?" I asked. "Surely you have more important things to do than visit an old friend." Her eyes softened. "You are not just an old friend, Alex. You are the only one who knew me before all this, before the titles and the duties and the expectations. You saw me as I was, not as what I was supposed to become. And I need that now more than ever." I squeezed her hand, feeling emotion swell in my chest. "I never forgot you," I said. "Not once." She smiled again, a real smile this time. "Neither did I." We spent the night talking, laughing over old memories, sharing stories of the paths our lives had taken. It felt naturally easy, as if no time had passed at all. She told me about the weight of the crown, about the endless responsibilities, about the loneliness that came with power. I listened and I understood, because even though my life was small compared to hers, loneliness was something I knew well. Before she left that night, she turned to me on the porch, the stars glittering overhead. "Come with me," she said, "to my world, to my life." I stared at her, heart pounding. "Leave everything. My job, my small apartment, my routine." "Yes," she said simply, "because I need you, Alex. I need someone who sees me. Not the queen, not the ruler. Just me, Lyra." I hesitated only for a moment. There was nothing here holding me back. Nothing that could compare to the chance of being by her side again. "I will come," I said. She smiled so brightly it took my breath away. "Good," she said, "because I was not leaving without you." The journey was unlike anything I could have imagined. Her ship was a marvel of technology, smooth and silent, cutting through the darkness of space, like a blade through silk. As we traveled, she showed me the stars, told me stories of the worlds we passed. I listened in awe, absorbing every word. Her people were proud and fierce, with traditions older than any on earth. When we arrived at her world, I was speechless. The city rose before us like a dream, towers of crystal and stone reaching for the sky, rivers of light flowing through the streets. And at the center of it all, the palace. A massive structure carved from living stone, it pulsed with energy and life. The people bowed to her as we passed, and I saw the weight. She carried the expectations, the reverence, the fear. But when she looked at me, her eyes softened, and I knew she was still Lyra. The days passed in a blur. Ceremonies, audiences, councils. She moved through it all with grace and strength, but I could see the toll it took. At night we would sit together in the gardens beneath twin moons, and she would shed the crown for a little while laughing and talking like we used to. One night, she turned to me, her expression serious. "Alex," she said, "I have something to ask you. Anything I said, will you stay here with me, not as a guest, not as a visitor, but truly stay, be part of this life, be part of my life?" I looked at her, the woman who had crossed galaxies to find me again, the woman who had offered me her trust, her heart. There was only one answer. Yes, the ceremony that bound us together was unlike anything on earth. It was a celebration of stars and light vows spoken in a language older than memory itself. When it was done, she placed her forehead against mine, and for a moment the whole universe seemed to hold its breath. "You are mine," she whispered, "and I am yours." From that day forward we faced everything together. Political intrigues, external threats, internal unrest. There were challenges, yes, but we faced them side by side. She taught me her people's ways, their history, their customs. And I, in turn, reminded her of Earth, of laughter, of simplicity. We balanced each other perfectly. Years passed, and our bond only deepened. Sometimes we would steal away from the palace, escaping the heavy halls and the endless meetings. We would find a quiet place under the open sky and just be ourselves. Lyra and Alex, two friends, two lovers, two souls bound by fate and choice. There were nights when she would wake from dreams of battles and betrayals, and I would hold her until she slept again. There were days when I doubted my place in her world, and she would remind me with a touch, a word, a look that I belonged beside her. Always. Together we rebuilt not just a kingdom, but the spirit of her people. Together we showed them that strength was not just in power, but in compassion and unity. Together we built a future brighter than any star. Sometimes I would think back to that first day when she knocked on my door. How close I had come to saying no. How easily I could have missed the greatest adventure of my life. But fate or luck or something greater had guided me, and I was grateful every single day. Because I had found my place not in a job or a city or even a planet, but with her, under the endless stars, by her side, forever